As far as baseball cards go, I seriously challenge you at home to find a more consistent player than Hiroki Kuroda. Year in and year out for 7 seasons, you knew exactly what you were getting with Hiroki Kuroda. He attacked the zone with an incredibly creative arsenal, he pitched under the brightest lights throughout his entire career, and oh yeah, he pitched in the 2 biggest markets that MLB has to offer. And he did all of this while not even really liking the game of baseball all that much. And bear in mind, Kuroda began his MLB career when he was 33 years old, which is usually the beginning of the end for most MLB pitchers. And even when things were all set and done in MLB, he went back to Japan as a 40-year-old and dominated once again because he's that guy. If you couldn't tell already, Hiroki Kuroda is one of my favorite players of all time, and if you know nothing, that's perfect. All I ask is that you give me your attention for 15 minutes, and if you like the video, leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. This is the story of the consistent king of Japanese pitching, Hiroki Kuroda. Growing up, Hiroki Kuroda endured a strict childhood. At training camp for baseball in the summer, players were not allowed to drink water as it was perceived as a sign of weakness. It got bad enough to the point that the kids would drink dirty river water behind the field out of pure necessity. As a pitcher, Hiroki Kuroda and others were punished for poor performance, as coaches would tell them to run non-stop for days on end throughout the night as well. When another parent discovered this and took the boys away from the camp, Kuroda's mother requested that he be brought back to camp immediately upon her finding out. Kuroda's upbringing was rough and cruel, but it also did shape him into a fierce competitor. He pitched 11 seasons for the Hiroshima Carp, eventually becoming the reliable ace of their pitching staff. He peaked in the 2006 season, maintaining a brilliant ERA of 1.85 in over 180 innings, the first qualified sub-2 ERA season in the NPB in nearly 2 decades to that point. Despite 10 years of consistent success in Hiroshima, Kuroda was constantly overshadowed by the elite pitching talents running NPB at the time, like Daisuke Matsuzaka, Yu Darvish, and Masahiro Tanaka, all of whom would cross overseas to MLB for far more lucrative contracts than what Hiroki Kuroda would end up signing. When Kuroda announced that he'd be entering unrestricted free agency following what would be his final season in Japan, before coming back years down the line, many different Japanese teams pursued him aggressively after losing most of their pitching talent to MLB. But Kuroda would follow the likes of Daisuke Matsuzaka and others to the United States, drawing interest from several rebuilding MLB teams like the Texas Rangers, Seattle Mariners, Kansas City Royals, and Arizona Diamondbacks. However, the winning bid of 3 years and $35 million would be submitted by the Los Angeles Dodgers, who were looking to climb back atop the National League West Division for the first time in 5 years. With an already established trio of Derek Lowe, Chad Billingsley, and Brad Penny in the rotation, plus the impending debut of top prospect phenom Clayton Kershaw at just 20 years old, Hiroki Kuroda was joining a pretty impressive pitching staff in his rookie campaign in 2008. Additionally, the Dodgers already had tons of Asian representation on their team before Kuroda's signing, including all-star Japanese closer Takashi Saito, Taiwanese lefty Hung-ji Kuo, and South Korean veteran Chan-ho Park. With their groundbreaking signing of Hideo Nomo a decade prior, Hiroki Kuroda stepped into a big spotlight where he donned Dodger blue and graduated to big league status, and what was then and now the premier hub for Asian baseball players. Kuroda brought a nasty arsenal to the table, with his sinking fastball in the mid-90s, a sweeping slider that sat in the mid-80s, a devastating forkball that had become something of a signature among great Japanese pitchers, and a lesser-known pitch, the shuto, which almost acted as a, quote, reverse slider or screwball. In his first season, the Dodgers also helped him develop a changeup, making the 33-year-old rookie all the more dangerous with a 5-pitch mix. Hiroki Kuroda impressed many from the start, dealing 7 dominant innings of 1-run ball and winning his debut outing against the San Diego Padres. Despite an impressive first season, Kuroda had difficulty not only adjusting to American culture, but American mounds as well. Kuroda developed blisters on his plant foot, being more used to the softer, powdery dirt over in the NPB that proved less resistant. While dealing with that and mild tendonitis in his throwing arm, Kuroda still managed some of the best performances of his career, including a 1-hit shutout against the Atlanta Braves where he managed 7 perfect innings. Overall, in his rookie season, Kuroda led all first-year pitchers in Fangraphs wins above replacement, while placing in the top 5 for innings pitched, earned run average, and walks and hits per innings pitched. Hiroki Kuroda was also a man of superstitions. One in particular was that every start he would reuse the underwear that he was wearing from the previous start. And I looked and looked and looked, and I found no evidence of him ever saying if he washed it or not. So I'll kind of just let you guys' minds wander with that one.
Ew! Dude! What the fuck?
Even though Hiroki Kuroda was consistently effective, he failed to garner a single National League Rookie of the Year vote in a stacked class that included Jay Bruce, Edinson Volquez, and Joey Votto. And yet, in that list of guys of that rookie class that included Cy Young vote getters, MVP vote getters, and oh yeah, an MVP winner, the winner of the Rookie of the Year was Giovanni Soto. Just like we all drew it up. Still, Kuroda had his eyes set on a bigger prize, with his Dodgers winning their division and advancing to the postseason. In his first playoff outing, Kuroda dominated the Chicago Cubs with 6 1/3 shutout frames, helping Los Angeles win Game 3 of the NLDS to complete a series sweep, their first postseason series victory since they were World Series champions back in 1988, a 2-decade drought. Though they would fall to the Phillies in the next round, Kuroda's debut season was an overwhelming success. This might not seem like much now with the influx of Japanese talent currently in MLB, but back in the early 2000s, Japanese signings were blowing up in MLB teams' faces left and right. But perhaps the most notable thing from his 2008 rookie campaign isn't a statistic at all. It's that Hiroki Kuroda spent 58 days as teammates with legendary Hall of Famer Greg Maddux, who was in the twilight of his career in 2008. Kuroda credits Maddux as a key reason for him pitching so deep into his career. Kuroda, quote, marveled at the way that he pitched from the time he was still in Japan, and conversations between the two pitchers helped Kuroda master his two-seam fastball, a pitch with deceptive movement that he'd lean on heavily as his velocity waned in the later stages of his career. Kuroda steadied that momentum and continued to succeed throughout his 4 years in Los Angeles. From 2008 to 2011, he managed a 3.45 ERA and just under 700 innings pitched, making over 30 starts in 3 of the 4 years listed. His ERA matched that of Justin Verlander in this window, who also won an AL Cy Young Award during this time. Among pitchers who eclipsed 650 innings in this 4-season stretch, Kuroda managed a top 15 mark across MLB in walk per 9 rate, walks and hits in innings pitched, earned run average, and ground ball rate. He certainly was not the flashiest starting pitcher that could strike out the world or blow hitters away with velocity, but quietly, the Japanese veteran established himself as easily one of the most underrated and reliable pitchers in MLB for a sizable window. Kuroda's success in Dodger Blue was heavily influential beyond his tenure with the organization as well. Future Japanese phenomenon Kenta Maeda cited Hiroki Kuroda directly as a key reason for him wanting to become a Dodgers pitcher when he crossed over. But at the conclusion of what was his best season to date in 2011, change was certainly on the horizon. Hiroki Kuroda entered the free agent market and went from one massive market to another, signing with the New York Yankees on a 1-year deal worth $10 million. Yeah, you heard that right. Hiroki Kuroda signed with the Yankees for 1 year and $10 million. So 2 things here. 1, it's no wonder why the Yankees ran free agency for decades upon decades, because that's what things used to cost back then. And 2, you know what cost you $10 million in this year's free agent market? 35-year-old Andrew Kittredge, or 38-year-old Aroldis Chapman. Times have changed.
Future's now, old man.
Just as he was with the Los Angeles Dodgers, Kuroda was an incredibly consistent pitcher for the Yankees. His debut season in pinstripes was the most valuable of his MLB career by Baseball Reference wins above replacement with a value of 5.3, the 7th best mark of any pitcher in baseball that season and better than that of Felix Hernandez. Kuroda set a new career best with just under 220 innings pitched, the 6th best number in all of MLB that year. This included a dominant stretch in August where Kuroda pitched 8 innings or more in 4 consecutive outings, including a 2-hit complete game shutout against the Texas Rangers. In fact, since Hiroki Kuroda accomplished this, only 6 other pitchers have done so in the dozen years since, a list including multiple Cy Young winners like Max Scherzer and Clayton Kershaw, with no new entries since 2016. Kuroda was surprisingly candid about his experiences as a baseball player towards the conclusion of his debut year with the Yankees in 2012. He said to reporters that he has, quote, never enjoyed playing baseball, and that he didn't, quote, like to put any added pressure on himself. He traced this back to his upbringing in Japan that still clearly lingered over him, saying that in order to play, you had to survive first, and that rather than enjoy himself out there, he had to fulfill his responsibility. That was top priority. In a moment of collective happiness with the Yankees clinching the 2012 American League East Division title, fans and media alike got to peek inside the competitive and almost grim mindset that made Hiroki Kuroda such an effective MLB competitor. It was a mindset that he constantly carried with him, and as sad as it is, it's likely what made him so successful throughout his 2 decades plus as a pitcher in baseball, and there'd be no better evidence of that than his very next start in the playoffs. In a tied series, Hiroki Kuroda got the ball for a pivotal Game 3 of the division series against the division rival Baltimore Orioles. In what would be a victory mostly remembered for Raul Ibanez's late-inning heroics, Hiroki Kuroda was the unsung hero of the night, pitching into the 9th inning and holding a potent lineup at bay with just a pair of solo home runs allowed. The Yankees won that game and the series in what would become Kuroda's final postseason run as an MLB pitcher. Through a series of one-year deals that were way cheaper than they should have been, Hiroki Kuroda compiled an impressive 3-year stint in the Bronx as one of their most reliable pitchers. He made just under 100 starts with an ERA well above league average, concluding his final season in 2014 with impressive numbers at the ripe age of 39 years old. Slicing his last 2 years as a Dodger and first 2 years as a Yankee, we can see that Kuroda's run from 2010 to 2013 was easily the most impressive of his career. In this 4-year window, he averaged 200 innings a season and maintained an ERA that was 20% better than league average cumulatively. He was one of just 10 pitchers to accomplish this in this 4-season window, alongside Justin Verlander and Felix Hernandez, among others. Overall, for his entire MLB career, Kuroda is one of just 5 pitchers from 2008 to 2014 to throw at least 100 innings with a positive ERA plus every single season. Pitchers that are not on this list include Clayton Kershaw, John Lester, and Adam Wainwright, to name a few. But at age 40, Hiroki Kuroda still had more in the tank and returned to the Hiroshima Carp to pitch in Japan once again, signing what was then the most lucrative contract in the NPB. He had the honor of pitching in the Japan series in the final year of his professional career. The 41-year-old took center stage in Game 3 of that series in 2015, pitching well in what would become the final start of his illustrious career. Finally, after years of being underrated, it seemed as though Kuroda had achieved superstar status. Jason Koskari of the Japan Times reported that in his final start, TV ratings in Hiroshima averaged 59.6%, or nearly 10 points higher than a normal Japan series game. Kuroda was a national icon, and he drew high praise from both fans and players alike, including that of a young Shohei Ohtani, who faced Kuroda in that very game and said that he felt, quote, a lot of spirit from Kuroda, and that he had a special quality that is intangible. What is truly remarkable about Kuroda's career is that his best work came in his mid to late 30s, the usual beginning of the end for pitchers in any baseball league. And to this day, just over 50 Japanese players have come over from their home since Hideo Nomo trailblazed that path in 1995. And in that list of 51 players, none of them made their debut at an older age than Hiroki Kuroda. And despite this, he's still second all-time for Japanese-born MLB pitchers in wins, games started, and innings pitched. He's only ever been outdone by Yu Darvish, who's one of the greatest pitchers of our generation, and he recently became the 6th Japanese player to be inducted into the Japanese Baseball Hall of Fame after spending some time in MLB. The list includes some legends of the game like Hideo Nomo, Kazuhiro Sasaki, Hideki Matsui, and of course, Ichiro Suzuki. Hiroki Kuroda's legacy is established, his career was fantastic, yet I still don't feel like he gets the due that he deserves, and hopefully this video can contribute just a little bit to that effort. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you learned something, leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. That'll do it for me this week, and I'll see you guys next time.